Okay, good evening, Vietnam. Live from LZ Bunker. This is the Veterans Live Show. I'm your host, Ronnie Yembris. I serve with the 101st Airborne Division. Tonight's guest is Bill Shugarts, and he served with the Americal Division. Bill served in 69 and 70. He was in charge of running resupply convoys to all forward fire bases in I Corps. Terrific job. These days, Bill is a yellow hat volunteer at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., and he's going to tell us some interesting stories and facts from the wall. Those are the guys, when you need to know where you got to go, when you're at the wall, they take care of you. We'll speak to Bill in a few moments, but first I'd like to let you all know that the program is brought to you by Fallen Never Forgotten, Vietnam Memorials in the USA. Fallen Never Forgotten is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial book, a tribute to those who never made it home from Vietnam. Visit fallenneverforgotten.com for more information or to purchase your copy. Let's go to the timeline. Okay, this date in the war in Vietnam, June 16th, 1965. Robert McNamara announces that 21,000 more U.S. troops are to be sent to Vietnam. He also claimed that it was not known that the North Vietnamese regular troops had begun to infiltrate South Vietnam. The number one song on June 16, 1965 was I Can't Help Myself by the Four Tops. And I must say that was my best song in high school and my best group. This date in the Vietnam War, June 16, 1970, Congress turns down end the war proposals as the Senate refuses twice to set a Vietnam troop withdrawal decline. The number one song on June 16, 1970 was A Long and Winding Road by the Beatles. Let's go to the photo segment. Okay, first photo. Lorenzo Jr. going to take more than a barbed wire to stop these guys. Amen to that. Wow. Okay. Next picture. Jimmy Jennifer Clark. I really appreciate the acceptance to the group. My late father served with the 11th Engineer Battalion of the 3rd Marine Division in 67 and 68. I have several of his photos to post. Go with it, man. Go with it. Semper Fi. Stuart Beanie, looking for Vietnam-era photos of Mighty Mouse rockets, boxes, tubes, etc. Anything to help us improve our display around the Marine Huey project. Thank you. Wow, that looks like a rocket launcher from a Huey. There you go. Okay. Next picture. Danny Gomez, getting on my Freedom Bird to the world. And those asses bumped me in the Philippines, put me on a C-130 and landed in SeaTac. It sucked. Hey, you got home, man. You know what I mean? You didn't fly American Airlines or Pan Am or something, or Tiger Airways, but there you go. That's a good one. Good for you. Kevin Bowie, thank you for your service, ladies. Happy Women's Veterans Day. God bless. Okay. Here the women are. No combat women, but what else did they do? Doctors, nurses, donut dollies the women did, and just helped the morale of the troops at times. Thank you, ladies. Okay. Boone Preston, poem and artwork from the NAM. That's a page on Vietnam. Gone are the days of rain and heat, chills, fatigue, and rotting feet. Days of thunder and swollen streams, still never finding solace in our dreams. Upon returning home, we stood alone in a land where we felt we didn't belong. And to this day, we still feel the pain and that illness caused by orange rain. We walked and crawled on poisoned ground, absorbed a killer that never uttered a sound. The demon mocked us and claimed our souls, and with a devilish grin said, welcome home. With a devilish grin said, welcome home. Rich Boone Preston. Thank you for the depth of that, Richard. Appreciate it. Okay, our card of the day from the Vietnam Trading Dart Flip Cards collection is convoys. We're going to be talking about convoys. Here's some Vietnamese convoys, North Vietnamese convoys on the Ho Chi Minh Trail that actually went through Laos, as you see, and Cambodia into South Vietnam. The North Vietnamese relied heavily on the Ho Chi Minh Trail for transport of their troops, supplies into South Vietnam. The trail of tangled camouflage footprint paths, dirt roads, and river crossings covered a 6,000-mile network, reaching 300 miles southward through Cambodia into South Vietnam. Amazing, amazing tactics. Okay, let's bring our guest in tonight, Yellow Hat volunteer Bill Shugarts. Hey, Bill.
Hi, Ronnie. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir. Tell us where you're from.
Originally from Philadelphia. I was raised in Philadelphia. I'm the oldest of five, and my dad served in World War II, my grandfather in World War I.
Okay, so tell us about your time with the Americal Division.
So I learned how to load and unload ships. And then when I got orders for Vietnam, I reported in country, Cam Bay, and I'm a first lieutenant at that point. And the processing depot said, "Lieutenant, you're in the wrong place." I said, "No, I'm a port operations guy. I do ports and, cargo and ships and all that. I'm transportation." He said, "No, your orders, you need to go up to the Americal." I said, "Well, where's that?" He said, "Well, you got to get a C-130 hop and go north." And I said, "Well, what's the Americal?" And he said, "Well, it's a 23rd Infantry Division, and you're going to go up and do whatever." So I reported in. They had a combat center, and I had 3 days in the combat center, so that you may have had that too in 101st. So you got acclimated to the to the temperatures and the climate and the smells.
Okay, let me ask you a question about that picture. Could you back up that picture?
Yeah.
Who are the people in front of that big truck behind you? They got little scouts running with you, or what?
No, those are people in the village.
Yeah, so they just joined the parade.
Yeah, they just walk along the road.
Yeah, I know. We used to have kids do that. We used to throw candy to them. They used to kill each other.
Yeah. That was a convoy going west of one of the western forward fire bases. So, Ronnie, we would run up and down Highway 1 in '69. It was relatively safe, although we would get ambushed some. But the tactical convoys, every 3 days, we would run west to the fire bases. So those were the hairy ones. We would have helicopter gunship cover, jet airplanes on call, Marines in the serials, the columns. We had vehicles. The convoys were generally anywhere from 30 to 60 vehicles. And you had to plan all that, coordinate it. You had to have all your call signs, your call signals. And then I would go with a colonel and fly command and control over these convoys.
Where did you find? Wait, what kind of supplies what was your main supply?
Oh, everything. We did everything. We were
food, ammo, water,
all of it.
Mail.
Beer, soap, all of it. Everything you grunts had, we did. Everything.
Right.
Everything. We were the main support battalion for the whole division. So our division was 22,000 troops at its height. We had 3 combat brigades. And then we had all this stuff attached to it.
That's great. Thank you for that support. We needed that, especially coming up the helicopters in the field. Okay, what led you to become a Yellow Hat volunteer at the Vietnam Wall in Washington?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a gentleman by the name of Jan Scruggs that had the vision to do the memorial. So in 2003, I lost my first wife to a horrible cancer. So anyway, I called up Jan Scruggs, and he didn't know me from Adam, and he said, "Come up and talk to me." So then he said to me, "What are you doing February of 2004? And I said, "I don't know. I've got to find something to do, and I'm 58 years old and lost a wife and have 2 kids at that point." And so anyway, Jan said, "Well, I'm taking some volunteers back to Vietnam." And I said, "Well, what's a volunteer?" And he said, "Well, these are people that work at the wall that help people locate names and help people talk about the war and help with all the information that you need and help people, grieve." And I went to Vietnam with Jan, and there's 5 guys, and I'll mention them by name: Ron Warstall, Mike Cole, Charlie Hartunian, Red Flagel, and is that the 4?
That's 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we bonded. And so anyway, they were the ones that got me started. And Ron, it changed my life. And honest to God, changed my life. It sounds corny, but it really did. And I was terrified to go back, and I went back in the company of veterans. So it was wonderful. And then I started volunteering in 2007. It's a labor of love.
Wow, 14 years already. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's a family. I mean, we're a family. And gentlemen, but there we are. That's Memorial Day. That was last. That was the 31st of May, and that's the group that worked this past Memorial Day. And what's really cool about it is that we've been COVID. We haven't been able to work for about a year and a half. So this was our homecoming. We all came back together, and some of the guys weren't able to join us, and they will later on. So
that's great.
It's good group of people.
Because I hear you have a few stories to tell about your time with your yellow hat at the wall.
Yeah, it's there's a book, Ronnie. It's called Wall Magic. I'll show it to you. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
it's a book. There it is. Okay.
Yep.
So what this is it's an outgrowth. Anybody that works at the wall will tell you this, and you know this. You've visited it many times. There's a story. Anybody that visits the wall has a story. The main question they ask is how many names are on the wall? Well, 58,281. Well, and then you get into talking about the names and where they're from and all that sort of thing. So one of the things you learn as a wall volunteer, which I don't do well, I talk too much. But what you should do is you ask a leading.
You can fool me.
Yeah. You ask a leading question, and then you shut up and let them talk.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you 3 stories, okay? And how much time do I have?
3 minutes.
Well, I'll
3
tell
minutes
you,
each. 3 minutes each.
I'll take it. I'll take whatever you give me.
Okay.
So these are my 3 go-to stories, and I make talks to school groups. The first one, this is a day like a Tuesday, and a gentleman had come up and he had a booty hat on, a shirt that had peace signs all over it, and a peace buckle. There he is. And he's got an artificial arm. And he says to me, the question we get all the time, and we're in a yellow uniform like I have on tonight for this show. He said, "Do you work here?" And I said, "Yes, I do. Can I help you?" And he said, "Well, what happens to the things that are left at the wall?"
Good
and
question.
I said, "Well, the things that are left at the wall are collected by the Rangers and we volunteers." And I said, they go over to a collection of artifacts that's been ongoing since 1982 when they dedicated the memorial. And they go to a warehouse and they're cataloged and archived and all that. So he seemed satisfied with that. And he said, "Well, I'd like to leave something." And he said, "Would you watch it?" I said, "Sure." So he walks down to the apex of the wall and proceeds to take his arm off. And I said, I'm a camera guy. I'm a photographer. So I happen to have my little camera. It doesn't matter what kind of camera, just whatever works. So I took a picture of him, which you showed on the screen. And I said to him, if you don't mind, may I take a picture of it? He said, "Sure." And I said, "Well, what's special about this?" And so he told me the story, and you see it. You see the papers inside his arm. That's talking about 2 sons, and they were are brothers. One was his brother, and he was combat wounded in Vietnam. So anyway, Ronnie, he said to me, "I don't need this arm anymore." Well, I didn't ask the follow-on question, which is why you don't need it, but I was sensitive to that. So he walked away, and that was the end of it, and I took a picture of it. So that's the one story. The second story is a little more unusual. Well, this is the arm was unusual.
Yeah, more unusual than the guy leaving his arm.
Yeah. Well, the other one was, from my perspective, it just shows you how you need to listen. So this is another sunny morning, and I'm standing at the wall at the apex, and I've got my little fanny pack on, and I'm talking, and a gentleman walks up, and he's got gray hair like me, and his name was Frank something. So we're talking. Well, while we're talking, this young, this middle-aged Vietnamese guy comes up, and ethnically, there he is. You recognize him. His name is Dao, D-A-O. So Ronnie, Dao comes up, and he says the normal question, and then he speaks pretty good English, and he said, "Do you work here?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Were you a soldier?" And I said, "Yes, I was a soldier in Vietnam." So the question you asked and the question I asked, he said, "I was too." So me, dummy Bill here, assuming that he was an ARVN, the ARVN that we worked with and supported.
Right.
I said, what ARVN unit do you work with, or did you work with? And he smiled and he shook his head and he said, no, I was VC. He was VC. So that was the first time I ever met a VC. And he wanted my card, and I have a little card I carried, and then he gave me his card. So he was here for a convention. I emailed Jan Scruggs and I said, what the hell's going on? Do you have a VC convention going on in DC? And Jan started laughing and he said, well, you're comrades now. So the follow-on story, and this is the healing power of the wall. And each story is uniquely different. And that's the whole point of this book. And in this situation, Dal started emailing me. He's a photographer. And then he wanted to know in his email if I was the guy that shot him in 19. And I said, well, when were you shot? He said in 1971. I said, no, it wasn't me. I was home by then.
Tell him it was me.
Yeah, it was you. It was Ronnie. Okay. You can claim it.
No thanks. I was there before
anyway,
you.
the bottom
I was
line
there
is,
before you. No.
yeah.
Okay.
So the bottom line is Dal is a world-class consummate photographer.
Wow.
Goes all over Vietnam. He's a retired general, believe it or not. And we are friends. My two kids, my son and daughter, Todd and Emily, met him in Hanoi, Vietnam, when we were there for a veterans delegation in 2015. So those are the two unusual ones. And then the third one, and I'll make this quick, is another day, and a lady comes up to me, and her husband's with her, and the lady's about the size of my wife now, Margene, and the lady's she's coming up, and she comes up with her pretty aggressive. And you know, the space, you generally have that human space between talking to people. Well, she's up in my face, and she's about 5'4", and she's got her fist closed.
Whoa.
And she comes up like this with her fist closed, pointing at me, and she doesn't hit me, but she's in my space. And she says to me, what is it about you Americans? And I said, excuse me? I took a step back, and she came again towards me in my space again. And she says, what is it about you Americans? You're willing to go anywhere in the world to defend anybody else's freedom. And why is that? And she really wanted to know. And her husband.
That question must have shocked you.
It did. I backed away.
It just threw me. That's crazy. That's great.
It shocked me. I backed away. And her husband's hanging back, and her husband doesn't want any part of this conversation. So anyway, I said, well, I'll tell you, I don't have any official National Park Service answer or an official volunteer answer, but I said, I'll give you my own. And I said, basically, to me, the most important thing to me is your family. And I said, the second most important thing to any American is freedom. And I said, we believe that everybody should have those opportunities. And I said, that's what we're about as Americans. And she said, well, why do you have that attitude or that position? And I said, well, I think it's our founding fathers. It's in our DNA. One could argue it's our Judeo-Christian background, all that stuff. So it seemed to satisfy her. Well, then, Ronnie, this is the icing. So she said, she came back in my space and she said, well, I just want to tell you, we sincerely admire you Americans. And I felt about 10 feet tall.
That surprised you.
Yeah, it did. And I said, and what we learn as docents to do is when you do what I call the yakety yak, you always ask, you ask people where they're from, whether you ask out on the front end or the back end. But so I said, if you don't mind me asking, ma'am, where are you from? She says, Israel. So that sort of completes the circle as to why she had that view.
Sure.
So the stories, I can go on and on and on. Every one of us out of the 50 or 60 of us, those folks you'd see in the picture, you've got Nancy Samori, was a donut dolly. You've got Diane Carlson Evanson, a lady that did the Vietnam Memorial. I mean, the Women's Memorial at the Vietnam Memorial. And I mean, it's got 5 major components. It's got the wall, designed by Maya Lin and 58,281. And then you've got the flagpole, and then you've got the 3 soldier statue, and then the Women's Memorial, and then the thing that's more important to most of us now is the in memory plaque. And Jim Knotts, the CEO of VVMF, if anybody's listening, if you want to check any of this out, just go on vvmf.org and it's all there. And then now we're doing stories and podcasts and archival history and ceremonies. And the next big ceremony is Father's Day. And we're back on. I mean, we're back to work now. So it's good.
Okay. You stole some of my thunder by, I was going to ask you about the strangest thing you ever saw left at the wall. So obviously that came up already. The guy's arm, right? Okay. Have you ever seen any, I mean, there's a lot of weeping and gnashing and tears and any violence?
Not that I've seen. There's some, Ronnie,
I should say heated arguments, maybe even, you know what I mean? Like just people getting out of control.
Sometime. One of the things you learn is you try as best you can not to be political.
Right.
And then you've got, and any docent will tell you this. I work at the Army Museum now, and we were trained up by the Army and the National Park Service training, which is very good. And one of the things they teach you in interpreting is that you don't go there. If somebody, and then you've got folks that think they know more than you do, you just let them talk. All you do is just let them talk. And
right.
And then you put a word in edgewise. Lots of times people don't want to talk, and you learn to back away. And even though you offer to help them, not everybody wants help. They just want to go there and be quiet. Right. Or they want to go and they want to rub a name, or they want to touch a name, or they want to leave something. So it's intuitive. You learn that stuff over time. It's probably the most special memorial in DC.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the most visited. It's got all that angst and all that healing and all that stuff. And
most of the people, or what percentage maybe, have kinfolk on the wall versus just visitors?
Yeah, what's happening now, and when you do rubbings, sometimes you get somebody that's the son or daughter of the person on the wall, or the brother, or the sister, or the mother. And the Gold Star people are just amazing, whether they're wives or mothers or sisters or brothers.
Yeah, that's when you find here we go, talking about, I think this is the most sought after thing on the wall.
Yeah.
Right? This was my RTO, not my RTO, the Opportune RTO, who got killed. And these two guys right here.
There you go. Yeah.
Paul Thorne and Edward Armstrong. We had we got 13 names on one. I think it's 45 East.
46.
Yeah.
46 East. Killed in a 9 mortar rounds fell short on our company. And this is, now, where do these come from? You carry these with you?
Yeah, we all do.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then we have, one of the things we're trained up, we have special graphites that we use. So
right.
The Park Service will give you a little number 2 pencil. It works fine, but what we have is better. What you have there, somebody must have given you a graphite. Those are pretty good.
I come prepared.
Yeah.
I come prepared. Yeah. This is like,
there's a lady.
Sorry, the back is very informative too about you the dates and the panel, which is very interesting. If you could get that up close, see there?
Yeah. Yes, sir. That's right.
Good man. Yeah. There you go. Okay. But that's when I see people doing that, and even people lifting their maybe grandchildren or their own kid up to see their dad.
Yeah.
Probably their grandchildren lifting up to get down at the bottom there. How long are you going to do this?
Pardon?
How long are you going to do this?
Till I die.
Okay. What do you think, Matt? What else we got? All right, we got questions and answers coming up.
Oh, I can't handle questions.
Spotsylvania, VA, hang on. Thank you. Okay, we're back with Bill Shugarts. Let's have our first question or comment. Dave Shiflett. Take care of Vietnam veterans. Been there, done that. Glad to be back home. Like you. Okay, U.S. You got it. Thank you, Dave. Marie Kennemer. Hi, Marie. Please don't forget this weekend is Father's Day. The roses at the wall. And you still can get in honoring a KIA who has no one left to honor them because their families are gone. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we put roses at the wall to honor the families, and it's emotional. It's special. It's been ongoing for years, and it's a good program.
Do they have live feeds coming from there for this kind of stuff?
We did. It'll be interesting to see this year, Ronnie, because it's been COVID. You know, things shut down. So
yeah, I agree.
We'll see what happens. When we did the Memorial Day, you were there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I met you and your son, and that's how I got into this. But yeah, we're feeling our way back. And you saw Jim. We're excited to be back. It was a limited venue. We had maybe 500-600 folks, and normally we'll have 2,000 or 3,000.
Yeah, for sure.
On Memorial Day.
Okay, next question or comment or photo. What do we got here? Paul James. I was 82nd and 5th Special Forces Group. Thank you, Mr. Paul James. Airborne all the way to you. Thank you. Next comment. Marie Kennemer. Bill Shugarts, I guess you know Juliana Baylock and, of course, Jim Knotts. Jim Knotts. They are beautiful relationships are built from the people that work the wall because I've been touched by Juliana. How's that?
Yeah, those are great people. Juliana's the one that put the, has put the stories together. She's done a lot of good stuff, and Jim is our leader now. So that's part of the VVMS staff.
Great.
We know them all. They're all good.
And you got people coming in, writing in from all over the country too. How about that?
Wow.
There you go. Next one. What do we got next? Are you airborne? How many volunteers are at the wall?
Yeah, there's 50 to 60.
Okay.
And
60. Yeah. And what's the most you have basically on a shift? 10, 20, 15?
Well,
like
when
a busy day, Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, when you do the big events like Memorial Day and Veterans Day, you'll see like that picture. There's 25 or 30 of us.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And sometimes 40. And then we do something else, Ronnie. We do the lady that put all this together was she's a dear lady too, and Holly Rotundi is her name, and she's the leader of the World War II Memorial. So what we do, Red and Charlie and Mike and me and the guys, we'll go down and help her at World War II. So and then there's other yellow hats there that are World War II that specialize in the World War II memorials. There's some yellow hats that specialize at Korea. So
yeah. Okay.
We're all over the National Mall.
What's the next, Matt? What do you got? Here we go. Yes, there's supposed to be a Facebook Live feed of this event coming up. The Rose presentation.
There is supposed to be. Okay.
So, okay. There you go. Next. Stephen Ali Oliver. Hi from ex-Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment soldier. Very good, Governor. Heaps of vets here. Yeah, thank you for the New Zealanders, the Australians.
Ronnie, I got a son-in-law from New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they live. My youngest granddaughter lives in New Zealand.
There you go. Good
Jared.
for you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Zeke for Bleak. Do you know around how many names were added to the wall this year?
Yeah, there were 3. I can. Well, it's in the program here, but yeah, the number now, and we changed this up. The number now, 58,281 is what we talk about, and the status on the wall. The diamond is the dead, unfortunately, and then the plus is the unknown, and so those have been found. So and then I had an experience. I mean, twice now I've seen the Joint Task. We had briefings by them in Hanoi, and they continue to try to find our dead. And at this point, there's a little less than 1,500 that still haven't been found.
Wow, that's a big accomplishment from day one to today.
Yeah, it's been ongoing for years.
Yeah. Okay, next one, Marie. Marie Kennemer. I have a rubbing for 3W27 line Janelle Laverne Chastang. This is my husband's door gunner. When they crashed, he lost one of his own crew. It was very emotional understanding what my husband went through. The wall has really impressed me when my father took me to remember friends he met when he was there for 2 years in Vietnam. You all do a great job. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. That's nice.
Yes,
I'm-
ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank you, Marie. And All You Airborne says here, what about the new Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall mobile phone app?
I don't know. You got to talk to Jim Knotts and those folks.
Okay.
They're working on an app.
And that's
And
at
I
the
think-
that's at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. What is that? The VVMF?
VVMF.org, and I think
Right.
they have that. There's what's neat about now. This is really neat because you're able to go on your phone, go to that website VVMF.org, and you're able to call up anybody that's on the wall, and they have pictures and a backstory.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that took years to build, and it was completed this past year. And it's exciting because you're able to go look up a name there. The way to find names on the wall, we have directories. There are those stands. There's
Right.
3-4 directories, and the pages get torn and all that sort of thing. So what the best thing to do is to go look on your phone and go look at the app and go look at vvmf.org and look up at the profiles. And then
Yeah, that book
Yeah.
was the only thing for years and years and years.
yeah,
The book on the stand, right? Underneath there, you have to
right.
look it
Yeah,
up. And you still have to ask somebody for help.
that's right. Yeah. It's easier to do it on your phone and look it up now. There's an app.
Yeah, I've seen some changes. I've been going every year since '82. It was like, sometimes twice a year, but every year I have to go regardless. And in fact, we're going down again July 4th. Man, what are we
Oh.
going for July 4th?
Good.
Yeah, we got to tour Arlington Cemetery again.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to broadcast from there for Memorial for 4th of July. So
Wow.
listen, anything else you'd like to add?
Are you talking to me or a question?
Yes, sir. Anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered? Or you might any tidbits of information from the Yellow Hat crew?
No, I'm may sound corny, but I'm humbly honored to represent them. They're great folks. And I could go on and mention other names as well, but we take it to heart. The Vietnam Memorial is a special memorial, and then there's lots of us that are like you, Ronnie. We're veterans, and there's 3.4 million of us that serve in country Vietnam. And what I do now, I started a veterans group here 2.5 years ago, and where I live, it's a community of about 1,200 homes, and we went from 14 people on a Saturday, and now we've got 144, and we're all 5 branches, and we just did the birthday celebration, and we've had a flyover. One of the guys has a Stearman biplane, and we do ceremonies. We do 3 key ceremonies: Memorial Day, July 4th, we change out the flag, and then Veterans Day, we do another one, and we do a large golf tournament and raise money and give it away to a authorized charity, Families of the Wounded, like that. Yeah, so I'm an active veteran, and it's good.
I'd like to let you know that a good friend of ours, William Roach,
Yeah.
he has a great website, Facebook page called the NAM, N-A-M, and we've known each other for years now. He was 101st. He's 101st guy. I can't say was 101st. You're always 101st.
Yeah. Is that a picture of you when you were young, Ronnie?
That was me in Saigon across from the USO Club.
Okay.
How about that? Got those 3 stripes over there.
I love it.
I used to, after my second wound, I got reassigned to Division Headquarters Rear in Benoit. I was CQ, and I had 14 hours on and 58 hours off. Check that out, right? And I had my own Jeep. So, but sometimes you get called up to go downtown or to go to Tonsanute and pick up, a colonel or a general or a politician and bring them to the embassy or somewhere here or there, or to the USO Club. So right across the street, I'll post that picture next week. There's the USO Club. I never got in there because I had to watch the Jeep. But there you go. Thank you for acknowledging that picture. Okay.
I volunteer with the USO here as well.
Great.
And that's a good organization, really good
Right.
organization.
Thank you so much. I'll tell you what, we appreciate everything you did and everything you're doing. And God bless you. Thank you. Welcome aboard and welcome home. Okay, out there. I got a lot of patches here. I got Marine patches from the Hershey Woody Williams Medal of Honor thing. I got 187 airborne patches. I got 50 Deuce Recon infantry patches. I got Orange Heart Memorial, the cancer thing, a new thing, but Ken Gamble set up. I have smaller ones from like that. So you need a patch, you want one of those groups, just write us at, go on to Vietnam Veterans Photo Club, send a message to one of either my son Matt or myself, Ronnie, and we'll send you one in the mail, no charge. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. God bless you and welcome home.